Hey there viewers, welcome back to another episode of All Trades. I am just doing a little bit of maintenance today, and when I was out pruning, I noticed that a lot of my tools weren't quite sharp enough to do the job. I found myself twisting them and everything else. So I usually use a machete, and a dull machete is extremely dangerous. Sharp machetes, obviously dangerous, but if you're expecting something to cut and it doesn't, ways to sharpen these things. And I'm going to talk about a couple of them real quick and then show you what, I'm not going to say my go-to is, because I've used all of these, right? Sharpening by hand, you can use this outstanding product. It's a Lansky Puck, dual-sided. It has a coarse grit and a medium grit for sharpening of axes, things like that. And that's usually what I use it for, something I can get to easily. Add a little bit of oil to it, and you start off, well, I start off with the coarser side, and then add a little bit of oil, and you polish in a circular motion, trying to keep the exact angle you want, working your way down, and then you try to finish it up with a fine grit. Works really well. I've used that one quite a bit. I've also used grinding wheels, all different thick coarseness grinding wheels, and you want the finer the better. But what happens with these, if you've got a regular grinder like I have, it's going too fast. It heats everything up really quickly. Unless you have a variable speed grinding machine, grinding wheel, you're probably going to overheat the metal and change the temper of the metal. I have also used flap disc. This is a 40 grit. That's probably way too coarse, but you can put this in a angle grinder, and you can use a flap disc. And especially when they start wearing down, they seem to do a little bit better job. The other item I really like is called a roll lock. It's a 3M, I think it's a patent 3M product. It's a coarse pad, probably more coarse than like a sponge that you would use to clean the dishes with, but it doesn't seem to heat up like a lot of these other products, with the exception of the Lansky Puck, obviously. It doesn't seem to heat up like that. So if you can control this and keep light pressure and keep a good angle, this works really well. It's a lot faster than the Puck. But you can also mess up in a hurry as well. Items like this, where I'm not as concerned about messing it up, and if I mess it up, I'll end up just throwing it away. I can use this wheel to get into the small corners and crevices a little bit easier than I can with the Puck. And I've used it on the machetes as well. I've got a handful of them. This is usually my go-to though, this Gerber. It works really well, even better than some of the homemade ones I've done. But if you can't get a stone or a roll lock pad into an area like this, which you can see this one here you can also, a lot of these, you can also take them apart. Do yourself a favor, take a picture before you take it apart so you can put it back together. And they are usually spring loaded, so be really cautious taking these things apart. So I'm going to just pull that spring out of there. Let's pull this blade out. Let's use the stone first. So take a little bit of oil, lubricate the stone, and you can either leave the stone in place and like pull it across like a knife would, or this is also designed to hold in your hand and work in a circular motion. Keep looking at your blade to make sure that you're catching the right angle. So, because if you're catching the right angle, you'll see that that it's basically taking off dirt on an even surface all the way down. If you're only taking off from this side or that side, you're either too steep or too shallow of an angle. So keep working with that. Keep checking it. You can see it's kind of crude. I'm just doing it by hand. I'm getting it close. If you're sharpening your heirloom knife, you'd want to be a lot more particular than what I'm being. Just go to the fine side. There we go. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to finish it off with some flat pushing away strokes. I won't take much off of this back side. I'm just trying to basically strop it without using like a leather. So because the way these work is it's pinching. It's pinching in this groove right here. So you really don't want to move material. I'm just flattening off that edge. I had a little bit of a roll over there. She's getting pretty sharp. Definitely had some, it took some abuse by me. I can tell you if you're sharpening an axe, holding it in your hand, moving it is much easier. But with this little blade like this, I'm not sure that it is any easier. My thumb is below the blade, so there's no way that it's gonna, you know what I mean, hit, right? I have to be way over here for it to hit. So, you should be sharpening away from you like that, but when I do that, I can't see what I'm doing, so I just take little controlled strokes and I stand back. Let's see what we got. If that doesn't work, I'm going to go to that roll lock. That's pretty sharp. I'm not going to cut any paper with it, obviously, but it's pretty sharp for what it is. And let's clean up this material right here. Let's pull that out and pull that bolt out on the back side. So let's put this on the wire wheel. Get it cleaned up. Brass wire wheel. Let's get these items back together. I'll actually hold it in place. That'll help me. And it's close. I'm not sure that I'm still extremely happy with it. Let's go a little bit more with this. I would like to get this back edge that the stone's not reaching too well because of the shape of it. I would have liked to use the stone because I think it does a little bit better job, but for what I'm up against or the quality of the metal, I don't know. Anyway, that roll lock did a much quicker, faster, easier job. And yeah, she's pretty sharp. Well, let's get that one back together. This fits up into a groove here. So I kind of had to put it at an angle. Make sure you lubricate your tools. They're not over tightened. I think we want to smooth this out with that roll lock a little bit. I'm actually feeling a biting down there. Feels pretty good. So, purpose behind these is to be able to cut trim, right? So I'm just checking on different parts of the blade. Seems to be cutting pretty good. Not leaving too much behind. I like that. Alright, I think this one's set for, I don't know about another season, but I'll let it set for something. Now ones like this where you're going to take apart a whole lot of stuff, I generally try to just clean these up in place the best I can. And if you notice, it's got a really short bevel edge on it, really short one. So which means that you want to try to find that angle, and you want to try to stay as close to original as possible. I'll start at one end, and I'll just keep trying to touch until I get the angle I want, and then I'll work my way in with that angle. My air compressor's dying, so I'm not going to be in the audio for a minute, but you'll see me clean. Yep, it's reprofiling this edge. It is putting an edge on it, so this would actually work really well. I also want to show you guys that you can do this exact same thing. If I continued, this would have worked absolutely awesome. I want to show you, because I want to work on this one edge up here a little bit more. You can kind of see that it's a little bit banged up here, and it needs to be reshaped just a little bit more. And with a stone, without something holding it in place, I'd probably have a hard time getting that. So let's get that roll lock and try to clean this up just a little bit. actually got a crack in the blade right there. So I'll tell you what, we're going to work this down quite a bit more. Put this in the vise. I'm gonna work on this on these two spots with a file. Come back and I'll meet up with you guys here in a minute. See if you guys can get this in focus or not. There is a wire edge right there. Hopefully you can hear it. So when I talk about stropping, what they're doing is they're moving this wire edge back and forth until it breaks off. And usually you use a piece of leather to do that. Just keep working that back and forth with that leather. That's to get this thing really sharp. That was a flat second cut file I was using. A much finer file to do the other side of it, but remember this is a machete, so it doesn't need to be razor sharp so much as it just needs to have a constant edge, and having an occasional spot on it where it hangs up isn't that big a deal, because like I said, you're just hacking it, so you're not trying to cut something really flat. So, but I think on this one we've actually got what we wanted using a file, which until I had that big burr in the end that I had to reshape, I wasn't planning on using a file to show you this, but it actually worked out really well on this one. Yeah, I could probably start cutting pieces of paper and all that junk. Show you how sharp it is, but I'm just taking off that wire edge that I created with that other file. And I'm here to tell you, it's pretty sharp. It'll cut what I need it to cut now. Anyhow, that's just several ways you can sharpen up your tools, sharpen up your yard equipment, and just get them back in working order. I do like to put a little bit of oil on these. So, there. I sharpened something, or cut something for you. How about that? If you guys got something out of this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps the channel tremendously. And like I said, just doing some busy work out in here in the garage. So, as always, thanks for hanging out with me, guys.